I sure as heck will only do that if my parents are up. That's for sure. My old house. This is my first post, and I have been really putting this off for a while, but I think now's the time. Sorry if this is a bit rough, I was younger at the time so the memory is still sketchy. My parents lived in this 2-bedroom house for a few years before I was born and had heard noises that they would think were my other siblings. At night when I was younger, I could hear slight movement of items that I would shrug off as my parents. The first time my parents really thought something was odd was around the time I was 5. I would often have nightmares to the point I would run into my parents' room and sleep with them. Between my room and theirs, there was a short hallway that would creak if someone had walked down it. One night, my parents were woken up by the creaks made by the hallway and were sure that I was going to come in. After around 5 minutes, I hadn't stepped foot, so they got up to check on me. My other siblings and I were fast asleep, and we claimed to have never woken up the next day they asked. For the next following nights, the same thing happened again and again. A few months later, my mother's coworker had gone overseas, so we ended up taking care of her dog. I have read before those dogs can sense a paranormal entity, but I am not sure if that is 100% true. Around the night, the dog would bark constantly in the hallway and sometimes around other parts of the house. The last story I have wasn't told to me until recently by my mom. She said that sometimes when my older brother was younger, he would go up to her and tell her the man is watching at the end of his bed. We aren't sure if he was making up stories, but she would say he'd just sit on his bed and ask questions when he thought no one was looking. A few years later, we moved out and nothing had seemed to follow. What do you think it was? The only deaths we knew about were the previous owner's grandparents that had passed away a few years before the house was sold to us. Anything helps. Thank you for reading my first experiences. Haunted Night.